Hello everybody, Moarhammer here, and I've got another battle report for you. And this is a pretty fun one. It's 2,000 points of my Tzeentch demons against the Kharadron Overlords. I will put a bit of a disclaimer at the start of this one. My opponent's army is a brand new army, can't blame him, it's not exactly painted. Most of it's grey plastic, a bit's painted, but not a huge amount. So if you don't like watching entirely unpainted games, go and watch one of my other battle reports because they're all fully painted. But that's just one of these ones. It's still a fun game. It's still worth a watch because it's a lot of fun playing these Kharadron Overlords. But we'll get straight into that right after the army breakdown. So first of all, I've got Wretch, my Gaunt Summoner. He's my general in this game as well, so I'm trying him out a little bit differently. He's got familiars, and I've got points to summon him a Bellwind Vortex. So he's going to do this thing. He's also an Arch Sorcerer, so he's got a bunch of extra spells that he can cast. It's really useful, hopefully. Then I've got my Change Host, which is kind of my favourite thing. I've got my Lord of Change. He's got Phantasmal Weapons for the extra rend, but that's just about it. Then I've got a Herald of Tzeentch on Burning Chariot. He's going to just be flying around, doing stuff, casting spells, and if he needs to get stuck in, he can. But ideally, he's just going to be kind of being fast and helpful against things. Then I've got the Blue Scribes. He's going to be doing his things, he's going to be learning some of my decent spells. He's going to be allowing me to reroll or fail spells within 18 inches. Very, very useful, and I really like him. And then I've got my battle line stuff. So I've got 3 units of 10 pink horrors. Because my general's my Gaunt Summoner, I couldn't take anything else as my battle line, so it's just 3 units of pink horrors, and hopefully they wouldn't be too bad, because it's ideal having someone else as my general. Then I've got a unit of 6 Screamers. Ideally these guys were just going to be fast, because I want to be able to outpace these Overlords in their big old ships, and I think the Screamer is going to give me a really good shout at doing that. So yeah, that's why they're there. But also they might be able to get a really early charge on his airships and maybe do some damage. We'll see. Then I've got a Burning Chariot. He's going to fly around, he's going to shoot stuff, he's going to maybe charge stuff. He's pretty good, I like him, so yeah, he's going to be doing this thing like standard. Then I've got Exalted Flamer of Tzeentch. Again, doing the same thing, he's fairly fast, bit shooty, so fingers crossed he'll do a lot of damage. So yeah, there you go. That's my list, and I'll jump right into the game now. So here is a picture of deployment, and on my side, starting on the far left, I've got 2 units of pink horrors, 2 units of 10. They're as far forward as they can go. Ignore the blue gems for a second, I'll get to them. Then I've got the blue scribes behind that realm gate. To the right of the realm gate, I've got my Herald of Burning Chariot. Then I've got 6 screamers in the middle there, and then to the right of that, in that building, I've got my pink horrors, my Exalted Flamer, and then behind them, my Lord of Change and my Burning Chariot. You can't quite see him. Just to the left of the Lord of Change's big wing on the left-hand side is my Gaunt Summoner. You can kind of see his familiars there in the blue gem. But yeah, Lord of Change is big, turns out. So, on my opponent's side, starting on the far left, he's got an Ironclad. And in there he's got a unit of 10 Arcanauts, 3 Endrin Riggers, and an Endrin Master, and a Ether Chemist, I believe. Then moving over to the left, he's got 2 Frigates. Both of these guys have, one has a Chemist, one has maybe another character, maybe not, I can't remember, and 2 units of Arcanauts. So that's his list. He did actually start the frigate in the middle there. He actually started on the left-hand side, and he has a command trait where he can just flip it over. But I wasn't too worried because I've got a change host. He can't exactly out-deploy me. However, so the mission we're playing is this weird new mission that they put up on the Games Workshop website for the Grombrindle anniversary thing. So in the centre of the board there, you've got Grombrindle, and you've basically got to kind of offer him stuff. So each blue gem is controlled by a unit, and if they get within 3 inches in the hero phase, or at the start of the hero phase, they can give that to the dwarf, and he'll give them some sort of big old boost. But obviously we've got to get in close first. Other than that, the mission is basically it's take and hold, simply put. So, interestingly, we both had 2 drops, and he won the roll-off to go first, or to drop first, and he actually chose to go first, which was scary because I did not want that happening, but it is what it is. In terms of his articles and footnotes and all that jazz, he had the one where he could run and shoot in the first turn. He had the one where he can mark 1 unit that gets rerolled hits of wounds of 1 against the Hedras, my Screamers. And then the footnote was the one that he can re-roll once per game his article once per game, yeah. So that's what that was. So he goes first, which is very interesting because I didn't want that to happen. So he comes forward like this. He puts his big old ironclad in the middle, right up to the dwarf. And then the 2 frigates just come in as far as pretty much they could. So a fairly decent movement. Like I said, he can move and charge. He can move and shoot, on the first turn. So he does that. He comes in and he decides to pour everything he can into the Screamers, which I thought was an interesting choice. But I think he was a bit worried about their speed getting up around them because everything else in my army was relatively slow. And these guys had a pretty good pace. So he shoots them with as much as he can. Some of his stuff was out of range. And because I was... And my 6s kind of counts as 1s. So he was getting a few extra misses there, which was nice. But when all was done, he managed to kill 3 of my Screamers. He did roll absolutely pants for his cannons. He's like hit with all his cannons, wounded with all his cannons, and then roll like 1s for his damage, so wasn't great. But he kills 3 Screamers, puts 2 onto another, so it's not a terrible start, but it is what it is. Unfortunately for him, that meant that his ironclad was kind of just within 18 inches of my Herald on Burning Chariot. So when we go to my turn, I swap the Herald with the Blow of Change, and I immediately destroy the ironclad. I didn't feel good about that. I did, that's true. So what I do, I change my Lord of Change from my Herald. I change both the units of Pink Horrors around as well, just to get them that extra 9-inch move they can kind of steal out the Change Host swap. And they both cast spells at the ironclad. The Lord of Change hits the ironclad with Infernal Gateway and Tzeentch's Firestorm. The Gaunt Summoner summons a Bellwind Vortex and also hits the ironclad with Bolt of Change, or Bolt of Tzeentch, or Bolt of Change, whatever. And he kills it. All 18 wounds go down, and the thing crashes, which is fantastic. He did actually roll... He had 2 characters in there. He actually rolled double 1 for both the characters, so both of them died. But because I'm not an absolutely atrocious human being, I did say, nah, it's fine, put them back. Because, that would just be atrocious. But it does raise a good point about how airships do seem to be utter death traps. Oh well, other than that, we go to my movement phase, and I just rush him, actually, with the ironclad down and the frigates being moderately fragile. I don't see any point in hanging back, so I push my Horrors forward, push my Lord of Change forward, and my Screamers, as well as both my Chariots and the Exalted Flamer. I leave my Gaunt Summoner and the Horrors back. I did cast Treacherous Bond on those Horrors, so any hits on the Gaunt Summoner will ping off to them, which is fantastic. And then... the Gaunt Summoner can't move himself, so that's what's going on there. In the shooting phase, I do a bit of shooting, but not a whole lot. My Flamers shoot the frigates and put a couple of wounds on. I shoot off a couple of the Arcanauts that came out of the Ironclad as well. And then I charge right into them. So my Horrors charge in here, and my Screamers charge in here. Kind of the idea of this was that as long as both of them didn't kill my Screamers, I was tying up both frigates, which means that next turn he'd either have to retreat and then not shoot, or he'd have to sit where he was, which was in very dangerous spell range. So that was kind of my idea with doing this. I do attack with my Screamers first, and they think they put a wound on, but I do lose a Screamer back. Then when I attack over here with my Horrors, they actually do really well and are able to kill all of the Arcanaut company, so that's pretty good. And both his characters absolutely fluff. I think they kill 1 or 2 Pink Horrors, but I end up using a 1 to bring them back with Battle Shock. No, actually, I'm telling you a lie. I didn't use a 1 to bring them back with Battle Shock. I rolled a 1 to bring them back from Battle Shock. That's great. It's great. It's good fun. So we go into the initiative roll-off, and I win it, which of course means that I would instantly win the game there. So I give it to my opponent. Like we're just kind of having a game. It's a brand new army for him. I'm not just going to absolutely curb stomp him on the second turn. So I give him the second turn. I mean, I'm a terrible human being, but I'm not the worst. So So he does some stuff actually, and I think he does some very wise stuff. He does retreat with both of his frigates out of combat with his Screamers. But just after unloading both units of Arcanauts from those units. So you kind of see them sort of behind the Screamers in the middle right-hand side of the board. Well, one of the units has the Gatling gun thing, and the other units have the Sky Pikes, some long-range, pretty nasty ones. And both the frigates move back as far as they can. They've got fairly long runs, so they're just trying to get out of that 18-inch danger zone of my units. Who could blame them? Other than that, he puts some buffs on stuff with like the Ether Chemist, his Endron Riggers on the kind of the the middle board section, moving on to the left to sort of come at the pink horrors in combat with his characters. So we go into the shooting phase, which wasn't too bad. He managed to shoot off a couple of pink horrors here, so I'm down to like 4 of them now. He kills another screamer, but he also, the major thing he does, he kills my herald on burning chariot with a couple of well-placed sky pike shots, so that was pretty nasty. And I think he actually kills my exalted flamers. No, he doesn't kill him yet. I say yet. No, sorry, he doesn't kill my burning chariot. He kills my he doesn't kill my herald on burning chariot. He kills my regular burning chariot rather than. Sorry, because getting a bit old in my age, I think. Anyway, so we go to the combat phase. He charges in his Archanaut company here to try and deal with this last screamer. He's only got 2 wounds left, should be a good one. And he piles in his Endrin Riggers here. So he does attack with his Archanaut company first, and he only puts a single wound onto the screamer. So he's got 1 wound left. He's hanging on. He is hanging on. Fortunately for him, he is able to fairly easily finish off the pink horrors here, so they're not coming back at least. So that's sad. So we go into my turn. And remember that the screamer that had 1 wound left? Yeah. I cast Fold Reality on that unit, and I bring 3 of them back. And then straight away I swap them for the pink horrors on the left-hand side of the board. So, bam. Screamers over to the left, pink horrors into combat on the right, where they want to be, well, not where they want to be, but they're better suited there for now. So that was fantastic. That's my only swap that I could do, because I've only got less than 9. I also cast Summon Exalted Flamer of Tzeentch. So on the left-hand side, there's a forest there. You can see an Exalted Flamer in that, so I just summon him in there. He's got good range at shooting stuff there. I do a bunch of spells. I shoot off a bunch of the Archanaut company in the top right-hand corner. I kill the Ether Chemist that was in combat with my pink horrors last turn. But other than that, it wasn't a huge catastrophic magic phase for him. I do actually give my Lord of Change's gift to the White Dwarf in the centre of the board, but I don't get anything for it, unfortunately. It is what it is. So, we go into the movement phase, and I push forward some stuff again. I'm trying to get into combat with the Archanaut, the Endrin Rigger with my Lord of Change to beat him to death, and then my Screamers that sort of fly as far as they can forward towards sort of the centre of the objective in his centre of the board. In the shooting phase, I managed to kill off the remaining the Endrin Riggers with my Exalted Flamer, and then we go into the charge phase. So the Lord of Change and the Herald of Tzeentch pile into the Engine Master. Again, probably not the nicest thing in the world, but we all know I can fluff rolls. I also managed to get a massive long-bong charge with my Screamers over here into the Frigate, Archanaut Company, and Ether Chemist. So, I do decide to attack with my Herald on disc first, and I don't do anything to the Ether Chemist. So, yeah, that was that. And then when he attacks over here, he manages to kill a Screamer, a Horror, sorry. So, no big deal. These guys aren't very good in combat. And then my Lord of Change attacks, and I only put 5 wounds onto him. He's got 6 wounds total, so I don't quite kill him. Which is actually a bit disappointing, to be honest. I had plenty of Destiny dice I could have used to kill him, but oh well, it's what it is. So we go into the initiative roll-off, and he wins it, which is that's fine. Who can blame him? So he moves some stuff. His frigate doesn't retreat from combat this turn because he doesn't need to, but his other frigate does move kind of around the back of that forest on the left-hand side. He shoots as much as possible, but it doesn't really get him anywhere. But yeah, over here I did kill a bunch of the guys from the rest of these guys ran away from Battle Shock. So he shoots them with his Ether Chemist and does a wound or 2. I think he kills a Screamer and does a wound on another. Then he does some charges. His frigate charges into the back of the Exalted Flamer, which is bold. But that's just about it. So nothing really happens there. So nothing happens in any of the combats apart from this one over here, where my Lord of Change manages to kill the Endrin Master, and as he should. Angry Lord of Change didn't do very well against him. Although I do take 3 wounds from the guy's hammer for my trouble, which is a bit sad, but it is what it is. I can live with that. Other than that, not a whole lot happens, and at that point, my opponent does concede because I'm all over him, and all he's got left is a few frigates that are damaged and a couple of Arcanauts. So here is a picture of him, sort of his army retreating. So his frigates are flying off to be repaired another day, and that is the end of the game. Yeah, so I was going into the game. I was really concerned about how I was going to deal with the Arcanauts, or the sort of the Kharadron Overlords, because they seem really tough. They've got a lot of strong points. They're fairly fast and they're fairly shooty. You can shoot off my characters, and when they go down, my magic stops being so good. So I was a bit concerned. Fortunately, I had the reach out and touch ability. Thanks to being able to swap units over the change host, it means that there was nowhere he could go where he could shoot things with an 18, which is the range of some of his guns, and not then be hit back by a Lord of Change's spells. So that was really worth having, and I very much appreciated it. Other than that, yeah, I really enjoyed using my Gaunt Summon as my general. The extra spells were really, really handy for what he needed to do. There was not much my opponent could do against him, and he was just sitting at the back casting angry spells at people and really doing a lot of damage. So that was fantastic as well. Lord of Change underperformed in the combat phase, I should say. He did do very well killing the Ironclad. Well, not helping kill the Ironclad. So yeah, I enjoyed that. That was good. So yeah, I think that's just about it. So thanks very much for watching. If you like my video, please give me a comment and like the video and please subscribe to my channel as well. And if you don't want any of that, go to my Twitter channel @MoreWarGames and you can follow all my recent stuff there. So thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for another battle report.